This is Adele Jones reporting for July 2017. In terms of Work Package 1, General Project Management, I have to say that most of the activities that we've been engaged in as a team over this last quarter have been related to three primary areas. One is completion of the computer game. Two is publication of the psychosocial survey results, and three is the implementation of our training program based on our qualitative research. So I'll talk to all of those as I move on with this report. But the other area of activity that has engaged me a great deal since I last spoke on video is looking at the sustainability of None in Three and looking at all the various options for developing the project after it ends in 2018. And I think I have already reported on our success in getting a grant from the University of Huddersfield, which will see None in Three extended in the UK in tackling intimate partner violence among adolescents. I'm hoping in the next report to have some very exciting news to share that hopefully we'll talk a little bit more, and we'll talk a little bit more about expansion and sustainability. Okay, the computer game, the design is virtually complete. All of the levels of the game have now been completed. We're about to start some training for the country leaders so that they can then pass that knowledge on about how to implement the computer game, and over the next couple of months we'll just be doing the finalization of detail, making sure that all of the voice acting is in place, all of the characterization is accurate, and all of the dialogue is accurate. We are also developing some procedures for the piloting of the game, so we're on track to pilot the game for the new school year beginning September. The next area of work is the Work Package 3, the psychosocial survey results, which have been the subject of several publications, journal articles, but we also now have a report which has been published by the university, and this documents the results of a survey with over 1,300 children and young people from 10 to 18 years, talking about their experiences and exposure to violence. And we're going to be looking over the next few months at how best to market and disseminate that very, very important research. In terms of Work Package 4, the qualitative research, we have now produced our second film based on the research findings, and this focuses on disabled women's experiences of domestic violence. A disabled woman is talking from her perspective, especially about the relationship between domestic violence, dependency, and lack of economic empowerment for disabled women. And that film has been regionalized through our partnership with the Caribbean Media Corporation. It has been sent to television companies across the Caribbean. Work Package 5 is the training program. We have now completed very successfully 2 facilitators training courses, one in Barbados and one in Grenada. We now have a team of 24 trained facilitators who are available to deliver training based on None in Three research findings and domestic violence in general, and hopefully those facilitators will be able to utilize their skills and knowledge as we cascade training in both of our study countries. We had the training in Barbados in partnership with the HIV/AIDS Commission, and as we roll out the generic training, which is going to be happening in the next few weeks in Barbados, that is going to be in partnership with UN Women. So it's going to be rolled out in both countries. We've also had some training take place in Jamaica as part of the Association of Caribbean Social Work Educators Conference, which was held in Jamaica, and Non-in3 information was part of a training workshop there. With regard to monitoring and evaluation, there is continuous monitoring and evaluation work ongoing in terms of team members' work. We do that through timesheets and through progress reports. We do weekly, sometimes daily, monitoring of social media content and outputs. And also we have been evaluating the training that we've been delivering and has been very, very positively evaluated. Work Package 7, Regional Dissemination. Well, we are continuing to disseminate the results of the qualitative research with women and with men. And since I last reported, we've made presentations based on that work in Trinidad and Jamaica, and there have also been presentations based on the survey results at the Criminology Conference in Sweden. Work Package 8, our public engagement, communication and visibility work. Well, we have, apart from those conferences that I've talked about, we're now planning a symposium which will take place in August with the National Union of Public Workers, which is one of our new partners in the project, and we are very, very delighted to be partnering with them because we think this is absolutely crucial in terms of getting the anti-violence messaging across to the general public. And we continue to engage the general public and look at different ways of doing that, and are continuing to grow our media following. So I think that's about it from me. So thank you very much for listening. Until next time. Bye-bye.
Okay. So we're now reflecting on the research project, research process. And it was difficult for all of the researchers, as we've said a lot, we've spoken of this a lot over time. I know that there's been some distance between the process and now. How do you still feel, Dina?
I feel that we have accomplished a lot, tremendous amount. At the time, it was very onerous because we had to find participants who were not easy to find. We depended a lot on agencies, government agencies and NGO referring participants to us. But we got there, and then of course there was the analysis using in vivo. So in the space of 4 months, I think we accomplished a tremendous amount. But that was not without its stresses and strains, as happened in most research processes, because you want to do the best job you can, and you hope that participants will turn up for the interview, and so on.
Do you think really that it is like that in most research processes? As you said, it's like that most times. I'm asking because I don't think so. I think, I could be wrong, but I think that, well, this project was a 2-year project. So it was very tightly bound by timeline. And going into the project, knowing that we were about to attempt to find, we didn't find them before, we had now to begin to look for what is referred to in the literature as an invisible population, sex workers, for example, same-sex couples, never have their hand up to say, here I am, particularly the sex worker category, which we dropped in the end.
Yes.
But we knew that we were going to have a very difficult time, but we had to get it done within a couple of months.
Yes.
So what we would, I think, if we didn't have such strict deadlines facing us, we may have done the process with a little more ease. We had to beat the bushes to find our interviewees, and not all of them came from agencies in Grenada. A lot of the respondents I found myself using whatever networks I had from the foundation's point of view, because we knew up front that it would be a difficult population to reach, and that we had to reach them and quickly,
Yes.
and produce results that would be robust enough to suit all of the checks and balances that the European Union grant was obliging us to.
Yeah, sure.
So we were starting off with a difficult subject and made twice as difficult by the constraints of the grant process.
Yes. And of course, we had very strict ethical guidelines to follow, as all research
Yes.
does. So um, the rigor of our own standards, the rigor of the the funders, and the rigor of searching out, as you quite aptly put it, searching out and trying to find women from those categories, those four categories, who experience domestic violence, was challenging.
Yes.
It's very, very, very challenging. And then, of course, having conducted the interviews, you then had to conduct the analyses. And for me, the part that I was primarily involved in were assisting the researcher who was working with me to find willing participants, because they were volunteers. They weren't sent by any agency. They volunteered to be part of this process. So assisting with that, assisting with finding the numbers that we wanted, and then conducting the analyses in vivo, which meant reading all those transcripts. It was tough. The term vicarious traumatization, which is that very elaborate theoretical name, which just means that you got upset. You felt the pain. You felt the pain of what women experienced, the stories that they shared as you were reading the transcripts before analyzing them using that software. I mean, there was a time when I found myself crying. Because, you know, what some women experienced were just, oh, it was so bad. And I find myself going back to the researcher and again talking with her about and seeking solace, if you like. I had provided solace to her in the debriefing, but here was I, the script was being flipped. Yeah. So it was hard. It was hard to read those stories and to analyze them. But yeah.
In my case, it was a little different. What I did feel immediately, as I was saying to you just before, is when I spoke to women who were pregnant and experienced violence, because I could just picture the baby inside the belly, fully conscious. Of course, I don't know, but I could just imagine the child, psychically, somehow, spiritually, I don't know, cringing already at being born, afraid. And for those of us who work with child protection, and sometimes we do that exercise where we consider just where we begin to make interventions um, with a view to protecting children who we diagnose as having a high potential for falling at risk. And we realize that it's in the tummy.
Yes.
It's while they're
Yes, the stress can start.
yes,
there,
that they're
yes.
experiencing danger already. So
Yes.
that when I was working with that was um, very immediately distressing.
Yeah.
But for the rest of the population, I have to say that because I had such incredible challenges with the technology, um, all the energy that I had was often focused on just getting the system to work, which in the end it never did. But when you've got, say, a cut and your immune system goes towards it to repair it, I just felt everything that I had focused on electronics,
Right.
so that when I was reading interviews and transcribing interviews, I was not sort of paying attention to to the emotional aspect of it. It was more, have I done this correctly? All those checks and balances. And that enabled me to pull through it somehow, that aspect of just focus on getting this done. So that was one thing. But what happened is the trauma that you experienced right away stayed within me, undealt with,
Yeah.
and it lingered and it rankled until up to this day. As I drive by and I see someone, Grenada is smaller than Barbados, the population is of a smaller size, I will see someone and I will drive by and I will see the distress of the condition that they're living in, and I will feel that whole thing all over again. And so I'm constantly talking myself through what you are describing with me.
And of course, in the training that we have just completed here in Grenada, and what we did in Barbados 2 weeks ago, came out with that research.
Yes.
And there is some reliving again of it. Because as you share some of the findings in some of the sessions, as you share some of what was said verbatimly, those memories come back. Those memories come back. And,
there's no putting them away.
no.
There's nowhere for them to go. They remain in you.
I think in this work, it is with you all the time. And this is why self-care, which we were talking about earlier, is so critically important.
So what did you do for yourself to help you through it?
At that time, I went to the sea quite a bit. I said to you recently that I haven't been going to the sea. Going to the sea and just being by the sea is so revitalizing, isn't it?
Right.
And it's a nice day and you get to do a little bit of snorkeling. That's even more wonderful. But the majority of my self-care is in the garden. Gardening,
That's
getting my hands dirty, literally. Just pottering. And of course, I try to exercise. I try to go to the gym. Don't always succeed, especially as the sessions start at 4:30 in the morning.
Oh my gosh, you wouldn't find me.
Yeah. So
at that time.
once you're up, it's wonderful. You come back full of energy, but it is getting up in the first place. So self-care, as we were talking about in the training, with participants is critically important. What about you? What was your self-care like?
Well, at the end of the first phase of the project, I just left Grenada. I didn't. I needed to get fully away because I have the same um, self-care habits as you. My gardening and my relationship with the ocean is the same as yours, and that's what I would normally do. But the first part of the project was an extraordinary stress. I don't remember when in my working career I've ever been through that, and I needed to get completely away. So I just went to my family in Toronto for a while and completely cut from all work or thinking of work, and then came back. You know. So my therapist up there, my analyst rather, and then came back, recommitted to the process.
So, as a psychotherapist, you have this ongoing relationship anyway of self-care through therapy as well.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Or training, both in Canada and now in the States, is that you must remain in care because it's pure foolishness to assume that you can work at this level with these kinds of issues, such as the ones we work with, domestic violence and child protection and so on, and not have it weigh on you in some way, shape, or form. And then there's all the attendant things too. It's the granting process. It's the agency direction. It's the correspondence with governments and NGOs. It's a very thick. It's a full bag.
Yes.
It's not. It's not a question of just interviewing someone
Absolutely.
and
Yes.
transcribing.
Yes.
It's a dense web of relationships that
Yes.
you need to manage and
Communication.
right.
Yes. Yes.
And when one part falls off, then the balance is skewed, and there's repercussions,
Yes.
emotional
Yes.
repercussions. So it's a balancing act.
Yes. Yes. It isn't
Getting
that
through
we
professionally.
found these willing participants and we interviewed them. That's embedded in a whole collaborative relationship
Right,
with others
right.
to make it happen.
Yeah.
And the frustrations there. There's enormous frustration. There can be enormous frustrations there in not getting the person you want to speak to at a particular time and having to go back time and time again because they're like you, they're busy. So what we're saying is that research such as this, by its very nature of being a violent subject or subject of violence, it's difficult, but it is managing all the attendant matters that impact on the research that all go to make for the results
It's for
that we
example,
want.
if all you had to do was conduct the interviews, right?
Mhm.
Suppose your job was to go and conduct 20 interviews with these vulnerable women. That's one thing that you could do, and like your researcher said, Denise, Deborah said, they suffered
Yes.
from hearing what they had to hear, dealing what they had to deal with. But either you also had to organize everything, write the reports,
Yes.
deliver this,
Yes.
speak with the levels of work that I think you did and I did as well in Grenada. Um, wow,
Yes.
wow.
Yes.
I can't imagine one person doing as much work as we've done.
Yes. And it sounds like, does it sound like a complaint?
It's not a
It's not a
complaint. We're
complaint.
talking about how
The reality of
of
the
it. It's not a
situation.
complaint at all.
And as you said earlier, Hazel, it was within the time scale
Oh my God.
of having to do it within very short period.
very short period
Yes.
of time. And not
Yeah,
only to
very
complete
short period of time.
it or in a certain period of time, but to have it well analyzed. That is a big intellectual process to analyze this kind of data that has implications in human lives
Yes.
and all the intersecting parts,
Yeah.
and to really sit and give it a good thought
Yes.
and then write it down in a way that's not just legible but that will impact people.
Yes.
Or it was a tall order, I
Yes.
think.
And reflect what people said.
And reflect what
Yes.
people said and felt.
Yeah. And felt. Yeah. So, research is not to be underestimated. Good research is not to be. The skills needed for good research is not to be underestimated.
And guts.
Yeah, those skills are not to be underestimated.
Yes.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
saying before we came on camera that there were some things that we agreed to at the start of the project. And I remember when we found the news that we had received the grant, it was so exciting because it was big. And I think it's the biggest project I've worked on. So excited. And we would do this, we would do that, we would do the other, and we agreed to it, and we
Well,
were
indeed,
excited by
we
it.
included men
And we included,
as
right?
as participants.
Yes.
And that wasn't part of the bid.
That was a part of the bid.
That wasn't part of the bid.
It was not.
Initially, but we included
I
men.
recall that.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was a bid looking at the experiences of vulnerable women,
Yes.
but we felt it was important to hear the voices
The
of
positive
men.
deviancy theory,
That's
right,
yes.
came into
So,
play
yes,
after.
Yes. So
But I think that oftentimes halfway through something that we had well agreed to in advance, it suddenly hit us the enormity of what we had agreed to do, and then there was no backing out but just plowing through.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
yes,
Anyway,
because
now
we
we
wanted
know.
to make it a success.
Yes.
And I think it's fair to say. So as we were saying, Hazel, people just wanted more.
Yes.
And you were talking about the young lady who works for the Council for the Disabled, who is perhaps the youngest and maybe the least experienced. But wasn't her role play excellent?
The role play was great.
I mean, she just got into it, didn't
And
she?
the thing I realized was concerning levels of experience. And don't forget there was also Sabrina, who worked previously with Conservation Fund
Yes.
in the environment and
Yes.
conservation, not anything to do with domestic violence, but she is now employed by the legal aid in co-facilitating for women changes, the change program for female victims of domestic violence.
Yes.
So she is new to it. But the point I'm making is that
So she would have had some training. So this additional training
yes,
was just so much welcomed by her.
so much welcome by her. And even when you live in a population like ours, where the rate of domestic violence is 1 in 3, or whatever the rate is, everybody knows about domestic violence.
Yes.
So there is actually no one who has no experience.
No, absolutely.
know?
Absolutely.
It
Yes,
affects
is.
everyone's life.
It permeates the culture, doesn't it?
That's
It is part of the society.
And you heard
Yeah.
what Hillary said from Council of Disabled. She said we have to train everybody.
Everybody, yes.
When
Everybody.
we did the segment on bystander mobilization, it really became evident when we were saying, okay, give us 5 things that you do when a neighbor is calling for help. And remember, we stuck at 4? We stuck at 4
Yes.
until Tyrone said, let's just start back at 1
Yes.
and
Yes.
keep repeating
Yes.
until you get some results.
Yeah.
So everybody does need that group support to say, you know what, don't be afraid. If a neighbor is being beaten down, it's hard. Don't be afraid. Here are some things you can do. And we have to do more of that community training, not simply amongst people who already have experience and know what to do, but remember the police officer said, um, we live in a resource poor part of the world.
Yeah.
And when you call the police with our best intentions, we may not be able to get to you for half an hour or
Yes.
45 minutes. So there has to be something that you can do to save a life in the meanwhile.
Yeah.
For the most part, these settings are usually fine, and I will send out a few more details in future about exactly what these are, along with like ideal settings. For the people who are going to be playing it in Barbados and Grenada, resolution's the one that's going to be the most complicated thing, because we don't know what the resolution's going to be of the monitors out there, so we might have to change what we get slightly. I will be writing up a guide that has the resolution settings and why we should pick certain ones, and that'll be circulated before you actually play the game out there. So all you have to do basically is click play.
Nice.
What did you get, Dan? Did you get?
Yeah, it's getting there.
Yeah, that's
It's
fine.
taking time.
It does take a minute. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. So we've got all the dialogue in and all those sorts of things. At the moment, we just jump straight into level 1. Are you with us? Yeah.
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 Are you Hazel?
I'm not sure if.
Hazel?
I think she's still getting a drink.
I think she's still getting a drink. I think her coffee machine must take like 10 minutes. That's going to be consistent throughout everything, including on menus. It'll just always pop up. You click that, you end up exactly where you were. You shouldn't get lost with that. So, as we know, the goal in this level at the moment is that you've been sent to bed by Rondell. So what you need to do, obviously, is then go to bed. And there's a little bit of confusion at the moment, I think, with regards to which door is which. So if you rotate your mouse now, you should be okay. I will be fixing that. That shouldn't happen, basically. So yeah, if you walk around, you'll see there's a corridor down here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can go into that corridor,
Okay.
and then down the hallway to the right. And I'll try and signpost this in a later version. So it'll be
Bedroom, bathroom, yeah.
like Diana and Rondell's room, and then Jessie's
okay.
room, bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put little signs on the doors. So is everybody in, the corridor?
Just let you know, Dave. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. This is the report for the month of July 2017. We're reporting from work package 3. We got a couple things to share with you. And first of all, good news, we finally finished working on the report for the both governments. Sorry, I'm a little bit tired today. And also for EU. I'd like to acknowledge everyone who contributed to this report. We co-authors would like to acknowledge everyone who contributed to this project, to this report and data collection. So the field work, Ina, Trotman, Jamet, and Hazel de Burrow, thank you very much for collecting, helping us, and collecting all the data in Barbados and Grenada. I like to thank all my undergrad students who enter the data into SPSS. Tabata Jane Elam, Rebecca Robinson, Renee Farquharson, Abby Johnson, Abricia Simile, Brooklyn Gale, Emily Bunn, Huma Akram, Emily Hoakley, Ella Doherty. Some names very difficult to pronounce for someone who's not English. I'd like to also thank the administrative support personnel, Vicky Hart and Sue Hanson. Thank you very much for supporting our project, and also Rami Hamadi for designing the cover page. So this is our team, and also Nicole and Dominic, of course, helping me all the way through this project. I appreciate that, guys. Now, the report has 4 major sections, and of course the executive summary. In the first section we focus on the background and aims of the project. I'm not going to discuss this project in detail. I'm just going to say what we included. So the methodology and the results. In the results, we have 9 sections. We focus on the exposure to violence in the family, violence victimization in the family, violence victimization outside the family, perception of gender-based physical violence, attitudes towards domestic violence, social norms regarding physical violence against girls, general beliefs about violence, violent behavior, and bullying behavior. So this is the project.
This is the media report for the month of July. Audio for the game has been completed and sent to the game design team. We are continuing to post on social media channels and finding better ways to engage with our audiences. We have supplied one of our supporters with content for past and upcoming radio shows on Barbados Radio, and we are facilitating a number of interviews in the future. The opening ceremony for the recently commenced training course held in collaboration with UN Women Caribbean at the UN House in Barbados has been recorded, and the footage has been distributed for regional broadcast. It has also been uploaded on YouTube so that other media houses will be able to use that footage for their reports. We've also been active on social media during the opening ceremony and training. This is our media report. Thank you.